So, okay. So when I went to prison the first time, I had this source. I knew there was something here. I also knew that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I didn't want to put myself in a position to go in prison again. So what I did is I handed this source off to a friend, to one of my clients at the time, right? And I said, here, take this source, keep the relationship with this guy going. When I get out, I don't know what I'm going to do, but if I come back to you and you build something, I want to be a part of it because I gave you the source, right? It was just kind of, I don't know, just like an insurance thing for the future. So I went and I just did a short bid. And I got out, and it was, it was tough. So now I got, this felony. I just got out of prison. I have an employment gap. There's nothing I could do. So at this time I moved in with my grandmother. I couldn't get a job. I applied several different places. I couldn't get a job. I just had this, this time of depression and lack of lethargy, fatigue. I ended up going back on testosterone myself because that really improved a lot of things. And at this time, I actually had nothing else to do except work out because I couldn't get a job. So I actually got into really good shape, and I was working out. I was doing 2 sessions a day. Again, it kind of did the same thing. Like, so now people start coming back to me like, hey, help me out. Look at you, help me out. So eventually, like I couldn't afford anything. I couldn't do anything. I had no money, had no anything. So it just kind of rationalized it in my own head that I would just kind of start very small just to be able to support myself, doing some things again here and there. And, so then one day it just kind of got bigger and bigger. It kept driving passion. So now I'm just like, I don't know, I'm kind of into it as much as I was before. And, now, one of my customers told me about this online forum that it was a source forum. And he said that, essentially they have all these sources that from, these internet sources from all the United States. And you go on here and you can look through all the sources. You look at all these reviews that people have written on them. It's kind of like a Silk Road type of deal, but it's just for steroids. And it wasn't on the, it wasn't in the, I'm having a brain fart. What's the Silk Road called? The
Silk Road. What was it? It just looked like a black hat marketplace, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean the dark net. That's
dark net. Yeah, that's a good
brain fart. So it wasn't on the dark net. It's on.
So people weren't buying it with like crypto, or was this before crypto?
This is before crypto.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean crypto existed, but it wasn't anything that anybody really knew about. So, I just kind of offhandedly was like, okay, I'll go check it out, or whatever. I didn't think much of it, but so I went on this thing, and all of a sudden I see that he's right. Like, holy cow, look at all these sources, and you can see all these people commenting, and I'm, my business mind just kind of starts going like, holy cow. So I did some research. And I see that, oh my God, like I can compete with these prices that these guys are putting out here, and I can still have a decent profit margin because my source was really good. So I start, I'm just starting looking in this, like, oh, this is doable. Like I can do this. I can compete with all these guys on here with their prices. And it looked very doable. So I started, really started researching it and looking into it. And now I had a plan like, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm just going to try it. That is about when the friend that I left my source with came back into my life. It was kind of coincidental that right when I was already about to do this, he comes back into my life. So one day he just calls up and he's like, hey, how's everything going? I'm like, holy cow, I haven't seen you since before I went to prison. Like, how you doing? I'm doing great. I'm almost near your house. Can I stop by? I'm just like, okay, yeah, sure. I was, it was a little strange, but sure, it was going to be good to see him.
Yeah.
So he pulls up in this brand new Hummer, this freaking really decked out Hummer. And he gets out and he's just got this big smile on his face. And it's like, what the heck? You know, this guy he wasn't a wealthy guy. Like he wasn't college educated. No, there's nothing. And I'm just like, and he comes out and he grabs this bag out of the back and he gives me a hug and he's like, how's it going? Okay. So we go into my house and he's like, opens this bag and it's full of steroids and money. And he must have $30,000. He's just got like wrapped hundreds. And I'm just like, Jesus, what the hell is going on? Why are you carrying around 30 grand in a bag full of steroids? He's like, I turned that source into a freaking gold mine. Oh my God.
Here's your cut.
Well, so he did. It's not like he just gave me any money. I didn't even ask for it. But what this did was make me realize that this is possible, right? That this can drive a lot of money. So, you know, he goes on to explain how he made $900,000 last year, that he's just got this massive operation where, you know, at the time he was selling all different kind of drugs, but the steroid one was really driving most of his revenue. And
what other kinds of drugs was he selling?
Oh, anything.
Just like coke and like legit
anything
drugs.
You wanted. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He had a huge black market operation. And,
wow.
and I didn't ask him exactly what he was doing, but he gave me enough hints to set the seed for how I could do it.
Right.
And I intentionally didn't want to bring other drugs into this just because, you know, I don't know. I was more passionate about the steroids at the time.
Right.
And what those about helping people. Actually, like, you know, passionate about helping people.
Yeah. How it can make your life better.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but he set the seed that this was possible. And he gave me enough information to understand a structure to put in place to be able to do this on a massive scale. And he was there for me. Like, so when I started, I didn't even tell him what I was doing. He didn't tell me exactly what he was doing, but every time I would call him to ask him how he took care of this problem, he would tell me. He was like, well, I ran into this. This is how I solved that problem. And he just gave me enough hints to where I could set up a bigger structure and just start, you know, expanding and scaling this operation.
So did you guys partner up, or
no?
He just showed you how to do it on your own.
Yeah,
with your source. Yeah,
with my own source. Right. He took it, and so let me go back again now. So I met him, and he set the seed, as I said. So now I'm like, okay, now I'm definitely going to do this. Like, I see it can work, and so I get all ready, and I do everything. I set up, and I bought an extra from the source. I bought like an extra. You know, an extra order, a larger order than normal, just to get ready for in case like a bunch of people bought, and I had just my laptop. So I had a duffel bag full of steroids and a laptop, and I was gonna start this online venture. And so the first thing I did is I went online and I just posted. I created this list of all these products I had and everything, and I just posted on this online forum. That's what everybody else was doing at the time, or just before this. You just go on and you just post a list, and people can order if
like a menu.
Yeah, kind of like a menu, and people could order if they want. But well, I got 3 emails from that of 3 guys who were said, "Hey, I saw your post for that hour. I'm interested, but you know, we can't risk the potential fraud." And 2 of these guys were, so this forum has, they like, let's see, they give people a point scale, right? And if you amass these points or accrue these points, it means that you're more respected in the society. You know, for giving good information,
trustworthy.
You get points, right? You're more trustworthy. So a couple of these guys were very respected members of this online community. And people just listen to them, and they just, you know, they spend a lot of time on there. They have a lot of trust. And 2 of these guys had a lot of that. So they were like, well, we can't do this. Why don't you just send us something? And, you know, and then we'll post about it. You know, if everything's real and everything goes well, you know, we'll post about it. And at the time, in retrospect, I shouldn't have been so reticent to do this because it's what ended up working. But I was just like, really, I don't want to give something away for free, you know? And that's the mentality that you know, people in business shouldn't do. If you have a good product, you should just get it out there. Be worried about getting it out there.
Yeah.
It's not about profit in the beginning.
Right.
Long-term goals should be profit, but that's only after you've established a brand and established. And that's what I needed to do. And I was reticent to do that. So I just asked all these guys to, okay, when you receive it, once you see everything's good, then will you pay me? And they were like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. So I sent these three ambassadors, I call them, the original ambassadors, the orders that they wanted. And
do these guys like post pictures of themselves to make them like, the people like just respect them, not only because they've been on the forum for a long time, but because they like see pictures of them. It's like, oh, I want to look like that guy.
That's part of it. That is a part of it, but it's more about they just create value on the community, in the forums, information, and you know, they've led people to good sources before. So everybody knows if you go to this guy, you're going to get the latest, greatest information on all the best sources, because they do things like they did with me. They go check out all the sources and then kind of update everybody on who's doing the best job right now. At the time, I was able to get a job finally in an emergency room. So I did work at the hospital. I just gotten a job at the hospital, and I remember now. You know, at first I would check these emails, this business email from the hospital. I worked a lot, so I would just kind of check from the hospital, and I remember, all of a sudden one day I was in the hospital and I checked out, and these guys, I went to my to this forum where I was a member, and all of a sudden I had a bunch of private messages, and that never happened. I didn't know what was going on. So all of a sudden I went and I checked the messages, and hey, it was this guy's name was he called himself Sicko on there. It was like CYCO. That was his handle. And he said, Sicko sent me. He said, you have some good stuff. Hey, give me your list. I want to order. And I had like 5, 6, and then it just kept going messages. Like, holy cow! Like, so, and then I go, what is this coming from? Like, what happened? I saw that he posted it. He posted a picture of my gear, said that he started taking it, said that he started feeling it. And so did the other guy. So now all of a sudden there's people just coming to my PM. These guys sent them, and this is when it started. And this was just from an hour post, a 1 hour post that was set up, you know, days ago. And I'm still working on the website to actually become a legitimate source. I'm not even a legitimate source, but this should have been an omen to come of what was to come, because with a 1 hour post, now I have 5, 10 clients already. At this time, steroid dealers were not known as masters of business administration, right? They didn't have good business practices. They didn't understand things like, you know, customer service, you know, just putting in pretty simple, good business practices. So when I came in and I started establishing some good business practices, simple things that none of them were doing at the time, such as priority shipping. So you get your order in 2 or 3 days. For everybody else, even domestic suppliers, it was taking 2 weeks at that time. 2 weeks to get their products. It's just because it was just not foresight. They were just not spending the extra money for fast shipping and just sending a snail mail, and it would take 2 weeks to get there. You know, quality products is one thing that we did have, and then just price, right? So I just undercut everybody else by a little bit. And, you know, I could do that. I had the source.